For Flight 1370, the plane has been delayed at its departure point and will be at least 2 hours late. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Are you serious? It took us over an hour to get here, 2 hours going through security and getting our tickets, and now we have to wait another 2 hours.
Yeah, it's beautiful here, but we're inside this overcrowded airport all day because the plane is stuck in bad weather.
This is the last time we ever do this. When we get back, we're going to Ocala Aviation and getting our pilot's license.
Yeah, we've been talking about that long enough. It's about time we did it. Then we could just fly ourselves and never have to deal with this mess again.
Right. No long lines, no full-body groping security, no baggage checks.
Not to mention never losing your luggage. Remind me again why we haven't done that?
Well, we're idiots.
Oh, right.
Attention all passengers for Flight 1370. It looks like the plane is going to be delayed a little bit longer. The airline has lost the pilot's luggage. Isn't it time you got your pilot's license? Call Ocala Aviation today. 352-861-7484. That's 352-861-7484. Hey, you've earned it. Call today.
It is In the Garden with Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Let's go right out to the phone lines. Hi, caller. You're on with Carol Ann.
Yeah, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
One of my grandfather's tricks from way back was to put down a certain amount of three-leaf clover, which puts nitrogen back in the soil.
Yeah, as a cover crop kind of thing,
Yeah.
especially in the vegetable gardens and things like that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I thought I'd pass that along.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks, yeah. Yep.
Thanks for the call.
And there are people actually who will grow clover as a lawn, for the lack of a better term, as a ground cover instead of turf, because you don't have to do anything to it
Except mow it.
except mow it occasionally. And even with clover, it doesn't get that high. I don't believe.
Yeah, but my problem right
Yeah.
next to a cow pasture.
Right, oh, yeah.
Calves would be coming in my yard wanting to eat the clover all day.
They want snacks are on that side.
Exactly.
Let me over there.
There's Little Debbie snack cakes over
you
there.
go. But so on the whole thing on.
Before we went to break, we were
Right.
talking about the companies that come out and with liquid fertilizer and liquid bug
stuff
repellent
and
and
things like
stuff
that, yeah.
for fleas and for ticks and
the
chinch bugs
and diseased things in the lawns
fire
and
ants.
that. Yeah. I guess the biggest thing with that is finding a reputable company. Yeah, if you're going to go with that, and also realize it does come with a price.
Yeah, it is
there's
not
and
cheap.
it's not inexpensive. There are different packages I think you can get from these companies, whether or not it's strictly that you want to take care of your fertilization but you want them to do your insect control, and it's like a pest control company.
Right.
And fertilization. They are all regulated by the state of Florida. And maybe further up as well through federal government on EPA regulations on things like that. Only drawback I have is just like commercial landscaping, you are on a set schedule. So if it's raining on the day they're supposed to be coming to your house,
They don't do it.
What is, they're either not doing, or what happens if it rains that afternoon, or if it's scheduled to rain on that. I don't personally use, and I don't know anybody actually close to me that uses one of the services, but because we try not to put anything down before a known rain event is coming, or temperatures being too warm, things like that, I'm not sure my leaning would be towards, if you can do it yourself, you do it yourself.
Is it more convenient service, basically?
It is convenient service. Yeah. If you're not able to get out there and take care of those problems, or you are just too busy, and you can afford to do them, you want a nice lawn because you're in a community that requires you to have it. So maybe you have your front lawn taken care of by one of these places and just take care of the back yourself. I have people come in going, well, they did this and this, but it's been 3 days. We all know them, and they want to jump and they want to do something else. If you're hiring someone to take care of that, you don't do anything else.
Let them take care of it.
Without communicating with them. What can I do if I have fire ants pop back up again before you come back? What can I do? What could I use? What would be the best products? Products change all the time. Well, not all the time. At least every 5 to 10 years, things
And my
change.
biggest problem, and this is the reason this came up, is one of the neighbors that said, it's how I deal with fire ants. Because
Okay.
one of the biggest problems we have in our subdivision
Is
because
fire
the
ants.
entire subdivision is wrapped by a cow pasture.
Right.
Is we have fire ants.
Right.
And I'm not talking, little. I'm talking about pick you up, carry you away back to the
mound kind of
that's the
thing.
kind of fire ant.
We've got a feast going on this weekend.
Yeah, where if given the choice of being stung by a fire ant or a wasp, you're
take
really
the wasp.
considering the wasp.
Yeah, yes.
You know what I mean?
Right, and there are companies that'll come out and take care of fire ants.
Well, yeah, because what I understood the rule of thumb is for every inch above the ground,
Yeah.
the mound is a foot below the ground.
Right. So you really have
So
to.
we get 2, 3, 4 inch mounds.
Yeah.
That's a big old mound underneath the ground.
It is, and oh yeah, if you've ever watched any of the National Geographic type programs where they've excavated these things, and that's
Right.
not just fire ants, that's regular ants.
Regular ants,
and they're way down in there. So spritzing on the top, I don't see is extremely effective without a granulated or powdered type thing that's going to be wet and carried down into that mound. Baiting is another good one but we have a little difficult time using the baits because of our wetter weather.
Right.
Wintertime, they work real well, and usually into early spring because we're dry. So if you can control them or get your leg up on them when it's our dry season, you may have a little less problem during the rainy seasons. But then if they get into your vegetable garden, there's not too many products, if any at all, you can use in that vegetable garden. They're just not labeled as such. You could use them on the perimeter.
And a fire ant in the vegetable garden, you get some fire, they'll tear you up.
And in your flower beds. But in the flower bed, at least you can use other products a little easier. There's a couple of the dust products out there that I actually like because the way they work, you come back and you find all the little dead ants on the outside where they keep chucking them out.
Trying to get rid of them.
Trying to get rid of them, and each time that one of them touches the poison, they too are dying. So when they go in, somebody else has got to chuck them out. Kind of fun on that, yeah.
And that's the thing. Is it best with dealing with fire ants? Because that's what, one of the biggest pests we're dealing with.
Right, the biggest pest that we have, yes.
When we're dealing with fire ants, perimeters, do they work?
You mean going
setting a perimeter in your yard?
They can if it's a good product. I would figure that they would. I know that there's a just for the homeowner. The best thing I've ever heard of was a twofold attack or method. Is treating the whole yard for pests.
Right.
With a granular and coming back and treating those mounds separately, either with the same product or a related product that you can use, and to get that initial control and get them out to your perimeter then take care of them.
You've been talking to my fiance, hadn't you?
No, actually, I haven't.
Because her whole rule of thumb, I go, look, we'll just take the granulars out there. We see the mound. We'll put a little foot perimeter around the mound. We'll put it on top of the mound, and then a foot perimeter around the mound, and it'll take care of the ants. She goes, do the whole yard and the mounds.
Right.
That's what she said.
And actually, if you read,
do the entire yard and the mounds.
When you read the bag, it will tell it'll say ants. It'll say ants, fleas, ticks, roaches. Da da da.
I'm just lazy.
This amount per 1,000 square feet, and then it'll say another one. You drop down and it'll say fire ants.
Yeah, they have their own
And they have their
designation.
own little spot. And if you're watching, you might see it on YouTube. If you're watching, I'm making little gestures. They don't come through the mic well, but they do go through YouTube. What do you got?
She's drawing a rectangle around where the words would be on the back.
That's it, right on the bag. It says fire ants. Get out your glasses because it's small print. And they will tell you to come back and treat those mounds too, and then water it in.
Yeah, got to put the sprinkler on.
You got to put the sprinklers on. You can't just put that stuff down and walk away. And the little inexpensive bags, Mound Destroyer and, Fire Ant Killer, it's $3.97 for a little 3 or 4 pound bag.
Right.
And you get your little throwaway cup and you sprinkle it on there and you run around and you think you killed the ants. No, you got to come back with 2 gallons of water to gently put that water on them. You don't grab the jet nozzle on the hose and go whoosh, and
Well, what we do is when we put the granulars out, then we just turn the
turn the
irrigation
system on.
Let it run a
yep,
full cycle,
right.
and that's enough water.
And that will take that down in there, and that should give you good control. And then after that, between your 3-month period, you may have a mound that tries to pop up, but if you keep hitting those immediately, you will eventually get your control down to where you can at least use your yard. And that's what I always say.
Remember, and I know this makes you cringe, and people still do it.
Yeah.
But remember when the preferred way to get rid of fire ants was gasoline?
I was going to say diesel fuel and
diesel fuel or gas.
Yes.
You know,
I remember.
It would make your yard where it wouldn't grow in that circle anymore.
Right,
That's what
but
grew
that
there.
was, yeah.
But the ants were gone.
Yeah, the ants were good. And I've even taken the pot of water from the boiled peanuts.
Oh yeah.
And it's salt water.
Right.
And so nothing's going to grow there either for a little while, but it killed those ants at least for a little bit.
Salted the earth.
Yeah,
there, like the Romans did to Carthage.
Right. But it is one of those things. There are some really good products out there. It is following the directions on them to get a good application, because fire ants are our biggest pest issue, along with your fleas. I think those 2 items are probably our biggest
And you
problem.
keep saying over and over. You say it over and over, and I know why you say it over and over, because people need to get beat across the head with it. Read the directions.
Read and follow. Why waste your money by not doing it right the first time? It's not building an IKEA bookcase.
No.
And even then, follow the directions and screw that thing to the wall.
Yes.
Yeah, so it doesn't fall over.
Right.
Yeah.
Follow the
directions on things like that. That's the most important. They're there for the efficacy of the product, the good stewardship to the environment, and so that it.
And so you don't
doesn't
kill
hurt
yourself or poison
make
your dogs or
your
something
pet's
like that.
sick and things like that. You have to, once you put it down and water it in and allow it to dry, then it's safe for Fluffy and Fido to go back out. Don't have the dogs out there or the children
following
out there,
you around while you're doing
it. We no longer chase the mosquito truck.
No.
They found out that wasn't good for you.
And we did on bicycles.
Oh, we chased them down
on
the
bicycles.
street. Yes.
Right in the fog.
Oh,
Breathe it in.
breathe it in. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, caller. You're on with Carol Ann Baldwin.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, Hugh.
Say, is it getting pretty close for me to be able to cut my Hawaiian tea down? They're dead and ugly, and I'm getting tired of looking at them. Is it getting pretty close so I can snip those babies down?
It is. I would probably give them. Yeah, I mean the weather's looking good. Let me see if I bring this back up. Here we go. All right, come on, react.
There's going to be one more cold snap, I promise.
There probably is, but at least at 10 days looking out till the 23rd, which is the end of the month, we look, we look good. I would probably, if you can hold off, just knock all the leaves off of them. If there's still leaves hanging on them, knock those leaves off to where it's just a stick standing there. That'd probably be the best thing you could do before you go ahead and whack them. I'd probably wait at least till the end of the month, because if you cut them now, we've got gorgeous weather here for the rest of the month. Looks like, at least so far, prediction-wise. And we suddenly get a cold snap. You don't want all that new growth. And it may start to try to new grow on you anyway. And if it does, at least then you know where you can cut it back to.
Yeah.
without having to start over at the bottom.
How far down should I cut them?
I would, I'd probably leave at least a good 6 inches off the ground, before, up out of the ground to cut them. But I would like I said, I'd let them go. And if you start to see some new growth coming out of the side, you may not need to cut them all the way back to 6 inches. You might be able to keep them at 10 and have a nice sized plant coming back versus starting completely over from the bottom.
Yeah, but even if let's say if a person would do it now, you're not going to get any growth that fast in a couple of weeks, and if you do, you can always cover it up easily because it's all down to the ground, and the blanket would fit over real nice and snug.
Just realize frost blankets do frost, not freeze. So
okay,
that's where we're looking at on that. But I mean, we're looking good. But who knows? We get our thunderstorm. There might be some. What is that day I'm looking at? I'm trying to see. Oh, maybe that's early. It was earlier in the month. Or maybe that was last week.
Supposed to be some thunderstorms this Thursday.
Right. We're supposed to get some thunderstorms. Yeah. But that's ushering in spring. We can still have a little bit. We may still have some frost. I mean, if you're really desperate to do it, I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to come out there and take your pruners away from you. But I mean, I'd probably try to give it another week or so, just to let it rest. Don't shock them into anything that they don't want to, because you will encourage growth is what you're going to do.
How high will those grow back? Let's say in a year's time, pretty high.
Yeah, they should grow back up probably at least half of what. How high were they? 4 feet, 5 feet?
Oh yeah, a good 4.5, 5 feet.
Yeah, they'll probably be up at least a good 3 to 4 feet. But oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I never had experience before with that kind of a plant. So next time, next year when we get the cold, I'll cover them up and try to save them.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. It's just getting some sticks in there so you can throw your frost blankets over them. And this year, they may have still taken at least a little bit of a hit, but they might not have been quite as ugly as they are now.
Thanks for the call, Hugh.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Yep, you too.
Right now at Muni, the golf course.
Right.
The ugliest things are the brown and yellow elephant ears.
Oh, yeah.
That are in the ditch line.
They're melted.
Oh, they look melted.
They are just melted.
But you can look at the bottoms of them.
And
here it comes.
You can't kill those.
Here they come.
You can't kill that.
What good is that plant to us? Is it?
They're not actually. They can be a bit invasive because they spread so bad. They're a tropical look for shady areas or for wet areas. I think I've had them. I've had them. I've seen them. My neighborhood,
they're
there's
swampy.
A lot of them. They're swampy.
Those and cattails are in swamps.
And they're swampy. Yeah, and they I guess they do help to absorb water. For small children, the bigger the leaf, the better the umbrella.
Well, yeah.
You can. My daughter used to like to go out. She'd go cut one off when it was raining a little bit and carry it around like it was an umbrella.
I got a buddy of mine that he pulls his dog around. He rides his bicycle all over town.
Right.
You may have seen him, as a matter of fact. He rides his bicycle all over town, and he's usually got a little pull-behind cart that's built like a bamboo hut that his dog's in with.
Right.
And he in the summertime he'll take those elephant ears and
make some shade,
so it gives the dogs.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, they are pretty. I mean, they give a very nice tropical look, and they're no maintenance.
And they can grow to 10, 12 foot tall.
And they do bloom.
Yeah.
Like the flower, like the peace lily, like Mom.
Right.
The flower looks very much like that. So they're really interesting. They get big. They can be bushy. They can screen. They can fill an area. I like them myself, and there's a lot of different ones. I mean, if you look around, you've got your allocations and your collocations.
You got colored
black,
ones.
Yeah, the blacks and purples, the variegated. Some do stay littler than others, and they can get out of control.
The ones at Muni end up with a stalk that's probably 3-4 inches around.
Oh yeah.
And the elephant ears are probably 4 foot.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
They're big ears.
Oh yeah. My neighborhood too are some really old ones that are there.
I think they do it just so I can't find my golf ball.
Could be. Could be.
I think-
And you never know what else might be hiding under there when you go to reach. You know.
There are some snakes up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
You know, and the foxes use them as good places
Oh,
to
sure, to
walk
rest
the ditch line and
yeah,
rest
yeah.
and everything.
Wow.
I had something there.
Yeah,
and
I
completely
saw
went
that
away.
just sort of poof.
It was
and
right there,
that thought
too.
bubble just collapsed.
I mean, it was right there too, and it went away. Oh, I remember what it was now.
Okay.
How close are we to where we can start thinking about what plants to start putting into our flower beds and stuff to make the transition
for our spring
from winter
stuff,
to spring?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'd be contemplating it, making the thought plan. Right now, there's not, your annuals aren't coming in yet, you know, those blasted color for your big planters and things like that. But if you're starting from seed, go ahead. You know, if you found some seed varieties or you saved seed from last year from your flowers, your vegetables as well. Actually, I need to tomorrow get my seed trays out and get my tomatoes and peppers going and so that I'll have them ready for the vegetable garden. But perennials are starting to come into the stores. I looked at what they're, I guess just based upon years past, you know, because they're not really predicting much into the next 30 days. I had a 10-day, 30 days takes us to the 6th of March, and they're showing like slightly above average temperatures.
Right.
And so, you know, maybe we're safe, maybe we're not. I don't know. I mean, this huge cold front that's coming across up north is, it's giving snow to the northeast, is going to give us thunderstorms. So it's maybe we're lucking out, and that, you know, the Arctic blasts are not going to come down to us. Let's hope. But I would, you know, if you're putting perennials in, realize you might be taking a risk if you're putting them in now. I might be going another couple weeks just to be able to look forward on that 10-day forecast of waiting till around that first part of March. 15th of March is our last expected frost date, but we've had them as late as 1st of April. I don't know when the full moon...
Roses could go in now, though, right?
Roses can go in. Yeah, roses can be pruned now. You think about
You can cut them
Valentine's
back.
Day. Think about Valentine's Day. Think about roses. Put them in. Buy them as gifts. They're coming into the stores like gangbusters. Your knockouts, go ahead and cut them way back. They'll be back up and blooming like crazy in 6 weeks.
Is it time to scalp the crepe myrtles yet? Because I know you're not a fan.
Crepe Myrtle would be happening like this weekend.
Yeah.
Usually we figure about that mid-February, first part of March, because they bloom on new growth. So I don't like when they hat rack them off, but if you need to trim them a little bit, this is the time to do.
Because the city does all the arbor stuff for
Yeah.
Muni.
Right.
And I when I think about how I deal with gardening and everything,
Right.
it's at my golf course because
Sure.
that's where I see it.
That's
at the
where
most.
you see, yeah.
Right.
But of course, all these commercial things, DOT does, you know,
Right.
down all the roads, down 25th Avenue and things like that.
get 'em off the lines.
They got to take things certain heights, and that's state Department of Transportation regulation. You know, you got to have certain things. You can't have branches below certain heights, and you can't you can't have them above, depending if it's a shrub or a
So
tree.
when Muni goes to the crepe myrtles, like right now they did them 2 years ago.
Okay.
And so now they're very full.
Right.
They're back to about 12 foot tall.
Right.
But you can tell that this year the growth is really going to hang the crepe myrtles.
Right.
Because
those
canopy is going
limbs-
to, they're going to bend over and there's going
Right.
to be some of them touching the ground
Right,
this year.
right.
You can tell.
But that's, I mean, in a way, that's part of the nature of the plant.
Right.
But they, you know, that's why we always say there's so many different crepe myrtle varieties. Get the right one for your area so you don't have to control the size by whacking them off.
But the
by
city
buzzing
comes
up.
in and gives them a
cut it.
butch cut
Yeah.
about every 3 years.
Yeah.
And they're the ugliest trees in the world for about 8, 10 weeks, 12
Yeah.
weeks.
Until they.
And then they look like a chia pet.
Yes, yes. And
Every time they come back, I
it's
go,
just
"Ch-ch-ch-chia."
all of those small limbs that come on every year that do that are very thin, they're weak. We get bad winds. They can be damaged, and that can damage more of the tree than just that limb. And that's where we're going on those.
Crepe murder.
Crepe murder. Don't do it.
The hour's already gone, Caroline.
It is. It's crazy.
So tell people real quick on Facebook.
On Facebook,
in the garden
page, ask to join, or find me down there at Lowe's and Lady Lake. I'm not there every single day, but come down and look for me.
See you next week.
Yep.
Caroline Baldwin, Master Gardener Caroline Baldwin, in the garden. We'll be right back with Matt Gibbs after this short time out on WOCA The Source.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with